This Fox 54 Sports Special Presentation, Sports Extra, a look at SWAC 2024, is sponsored by Hardee's. Now your hosts, Mo Carter, Nick Kuzma, and Simon Williams.
Hey everyone, 2023 was a banner year for the Southwestern Athletic Conference in football. Attendance was great once again. The games were phenomenal, and Florida A&M won the Celebration Bowl. But a lot has changed since then, and that's why we're here to get you ready for the 2024 season. Alongside Nick Kuzma, I'm Mo Carter, and this is a look at SWAC 2024.
Once again, the goal for all 12 teams is to win the SWAC title, travel to Atlanta, and win the Celebration Bowl.
Absolutely. We've got some big stories across the league, so let's waste no time and show you what's on tap.
Connell Maynor and the Alabama A&M Bulldogs have posted back-to-back losing seasons on the Hill. Can the Bulldogs turn things around and get back to their winning ways? And down in Montgomery, arch rival Alabama State is poised to make a run for the East Crown. We'll talk to Coach Eddie Robinson Jr. about his new weapons.
This year, I had the distinct honor of speaking with SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan. He'll break down some of the new items in the conference this season. Plus, there are 5 brand new head coaches in the SWAC this year. We're talking to all 5 about their first season. Plus, we'll wrap things up with an interesting choice of HBCU classics.
All right, so let's start, as is tradition, with the guys on the Hill, Alabama A&M. The Bulldogs finished 2023 5-6 overall and 3-5 in SWAC play. Let's take a look at what their offense will look like this upcoming season.
My mindset never changes. It's always kill an ant with a hand grenade. You know, my wife one time, it was an ant in the kitchen, and she told me kill the ant, and I went in the back room, got a grenade, and blew it up and killed the ant. And she was like, what'd you do that for? You blew up the kitchen. I said, you told me kill the ant.
On paper, it seems like Alabama A&M's path to ant annihilation and offensive success starts with the run game. At the start of fall camp, head coach Connell Maynor said 4 offensive linemen are back in normal this season, and they are expected to open up holes for HBCU preseason All-American running back Donovan Eaglin.
Well, I expect Donovan to do what he's done in the past 2 years, but more this year. And it's always going to be on the offensive line. I think we got a great offensive line, and I think we're going to prove that. And Eaglin, it's been right around that 1,000-yard mark. We want him to get over that 1,000-yard mark this year.
The offensive lineman that is expected to anchor an already experienced unit is Carson Vinson. He stands at 6'6", 305 pounds, and has received National Football League interest. Throughout fall camp, the Chiefs, Steelers, and Giants have visited Alabama A&M, and 6 scouts were in town to watch the Fan Day scrimmage on August 17th.
Vincent is that guy. He's the leader of the group. He's been here. It's his senior year. He got a chance. He's on the draft boards, and scouts have been coming out looking at him, and he's just doing a tremendous job of leading those guys. And we knew that was going to probably be the strength of our team in the offensive line, and so far in camp, they've proven us right.
For the 3rd fall camp in a row, there were major questions as to who will be under center week 1 for the Bulldogs. A&M has 5 quarterbacks on its roster, and offensive coordinator Dwayne Taylor had this to say about the group before the Fan Day scrimmage.
I feel real good about that group. They all have different skill sets. It's my job to figure out, put them in their best light. Cornelius Brown is playing really well right now at a high level. So are the other guys.
When Fox 54 reached out to Coach Maynor for a quarterback update on Wednesday, he said they were probably going to play a combination of Cornelius Brown, Avion Smith, and Xavier Langford. Coach Maynor said previously that he hopes to have an appointed starter this season. Last year, 2 quarterbacks got snaps in the Bulldogs' Week 1 game at Vanderbilt. The 2024 Alabama A&M quarterback room is expected to have receivers Duke Miller, Keenan Hambrick, and Jacoby Hewitt in its arsenal of weapons this season.
All right, thanks, Nick. Hey, let's take a look at the preseason predictions for the East Division. The Bulldogs are picked to finish 4th, right ahead of Bethune-Cookman and Mississippi Valley State. Above them are arch rival Alabama State, who's the favorite, Florida A&M, the defending champions of the conference, and Jackson State. Over in the Western Division, Alcorn State was picked as the favorite, followed by Prairie View, Grambling, Southern, Arkansas Pine Bluff, and rounding out the bunch is Texas Southern. A lot of football still has to be played, especially on the Hill. For a look at the Bulldogs defense, let's check in with Simon Williams.
Alabama A&M's offense, while inconsistent, was able to move the ball down the field. It's the defense that got the Bulldogs in trouble. But when looking at the stats, it's not like there's one glaring area of concern. Last season, the defense gave up 3,811 total yards, and only allowed conversions on 3rd and 4th down on 35.8% and 23.5% of the time, respectively. But most notable about those stats is where they rank in the league: 7th, 7th, and 2nd best, respectively. So how does a defense that was relatively average sink their team to a losing record in league play? Whatever it was, Connell Maynor knew it needed a shakeup.
You know, we gave up 37 points a game the last couple of years, so we're looking for huge improvements on that side of the football.
So Maynor made the move of hiring Thomas Howard as defensive coordinator, replacing Kindness Boulware. Howard is tasked with leading the defense, but also is the linebackers coach.
Being consistent every day. You know, we can't take any steps back every day. We got to get better, 1% better every day. We had our ups and downs throughout camp, and offensively, let's be honest, we got some good athletes on offense that are going to make us better. A lot of the competition has been really good, so it's gone back and forth. And they got to get us one day. We'll come back a little bit the next day.
In the early going of practice, he noticed some traits of his new group.
I got some guys, veteran guys that have been here that understand what's going on. We're adding a little bit more to what we did this spring.
An individual to look out for is Amari Pate. The redshirt sophomore from Culver City, California, played in all 11 games last season and finished as the team's interceptions king and 4th leading tackler, bringing down opponents 31 times and having a hand in 18 others. He comes in with high expectations after being named to the Aeneas Williams Award watch list, an honor for the best HBCU defensive back.
It's good because, like last year, I was stand out, and then this year, I got the chance to just lead the team. Everybody followed behind me because of what I did last year, so just leading them in the right way so we could do our best.
As we went through the spring, I got a chance to see him show his speed and show his athleticism, drive. He'll tackle. He does a really good job communicating with the guys.
Across the unit, Maynor needs a healthy lineup.
We got a couple of guys banged up on that side of the ball, so we need to get those guys back, and that's the key over there. If we can stay healthy in the right positions over there, we think we got a chance. We're going to bring some pressure, we're going to be aggressive, and we're going to stop the run.
The Bulldogs will be tested in their first game out when they kick off the season on August 31st at Auburn.
All right, thanks, Simon. Can't wait to see the Bulldogs defense in action very soon under Coach Howard. So, Nick, if I were to ask you the question, who is SWAC, what would be your answer?
Yeah, it's got to be Eddie Robinson Jr. I would make sure he says you are SWAC because I know, Mo, you might think you have a little bit of something in the running for that because you, of course, did your undergrad at Southern and you've done work with the conference. But it's got to be Eddie Robinson Jr.
No, absolutely. He is definitely the originator of that famous phrase from 2 seasons ago. Speaking of Eddie Robinson Jr., he's the head coach at Alabama State, and he's ready to lead these guys to the top. Eddie Robinson Jr. begins year 3 at his alma mater, and this may be his finest team yet. To go along with a solid defense and great special teams unit, Coach Robinson Jr. has added quarterback Andrew Body from Texas Southern. He may be the piece that helps the Hornets win the East.
I think the leadership part is the big thing about it. That's what we can see right now, the things that he does off the field, just around the community, just on campus, that type of stuff. And we want that to transfer to more consistent play at that position. And he has to go out there and compete and play hard and execute. But the biggest thing I think for us offensively, we have to be more explosive. We need more guys who can make big plays, not so much from the quarterback position, but the wide receivers and running backs. We got to take those 10-yard plays and make them 50-yard plays.
November 16th could be a huge day in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. That's when Alabama State plays host to Jackson State, possibly for the East Division crown. T.C. Taylor is back for his second season at his alma mater, and he's got a lot of weapons on offense that can light up the scoreboards on Saturday nights in the SWAC. The JSU Tigers aren't a slouch on defense either, but they did lose some key pieces at the linebacker spot. But thanks to some great offseason recruiting and building, Coach Taylor feels that the linebacker room may be one of the best on the team now.
It's one that I had a big question mark going into this season about. It's the linebacker group. Our coaches have done a great job of recruiting those guys. There's some players over there that's really stepped up. Ashton Taylor, Reed Pulliam, those guys are playing at a high level, as well as Austin. But that was the one big question mark going into the season we wanted to get better at, so I would definitely have to say the linebacker room.
All right, Fox 54 was the only local sports team to speak with that guy, Dr. Charles McClellan at SWAC Football Media Day. Coming up next, the commissioner will talk about all the changes that are coming up in 2024. Hear from the commish next.
Welcome back. Several changes are set to take place in the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and they all should yield positive results. Recently, Mo Carter caught up with SWAC Commissioner Dr. Charles McClellan to speak about those changes.
A lot of changes this upcoming season, especially for football. I want to talk about what went into the idea of now bringing those tablets on the sideline for the football team, similar to what the NFL is doing.
Well, the NCAA just adopted the rule, so this is the first year that it could be done throughout college football, and we just wanted to be on the front end of it. We think we have outstanding coaches. This technology will allow them to be even better coaches. So as you saw with the NFL, they can make real-time adjustments. So the conference office wanted to step up and make sure that all 12 institutions have the same tablets, the same setup, and the same technology.
Now, this year, it's kind of unique with the coaches that you just mentioned. 5 first-year coaches and then 3 second-year coaches. So well over half of your head coaches in the league are new to the head coaching roles, but they're not new to the conference. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think it's good. And, you know, oftentimes when we talk about coaching changes, it's talking about coaches getting fired. But we've had a really good record of coaches moving on to bigger and better things. So all of those are not necessarily on the bad side. Anytime you can bring new life, new energy, new blood into the conference, it's significant. You're talking about 3 Houston Oilers, 2 of the greatest defensive backs, and Eddie Robinson as a linebacker played with Steve McNair, a standing member of this conference from a collegiate player now to a college coach. It just continues to enhance our pool and our depth of coaches and talent.
You mentioned Coach Eddie Robinson. Of course, he and Coach Connell Manor of Alabama A&M will go head-to-head in a couple of months here in the Magic City. Of course, there are potential changes for the future, or at least they're talking about it. But when we just push that aside, how important is that rivalry to the city of Birmingham and also to this wonderful conference?
Well, when you have Willie Beeman, Connell Manor on the sidelines, it's always an exciting opportunity. Alabama State, Alabama A&M Magic City Classic, in my opinion, is one of, if not the best classic. You really don't know about it until you attend, but the way that the mayor kind of sets the city up, the way that this entire community embraces that game, is unique and is like none other. So as long as Alabama State and Alabama A&M has that rich tradition and history, that classic will always be one of the best.
And of course, a lot of great classics within the SWAC. Of course, Magic City, the Bayou Classic, the Florida Classic, Arkansas Pine Bluff participating in the Southern Heritage Classic. You know, the SWAC is just full of classic, but of course, beyond the classic, you add pageantry and a lot of history that you've been a part of for so many of those.
Yeah, and a lot of fans. We have 7 games where there's 50,000 people or more. That's a remarkable record. 47 for the last 48 years leading FCS in attendance, and with the addition of HBCU Go and the upgrading of ESPN's packages, we're in 82 million homes each and every time our game is on. So that's significant, and it, again, helps enhance the overall brand. I'm extremely proud. I'm extremely honored to lead this conference, and we just want to continue to do the right things for the conference and the student athletes.
I took a look at the press release from Andrew Roberts today about now the addition of the SWAC Digital Network with many football games. So now ESPN, HBCU Go, and SWAC Digital Network. So in a nutshell, every game will be on some form of streaming platform this year. How important was that for you and the presidents and the ADs to get that job done?
Very important. We heard that our constituents wanted that. We didn't rush it because we want it done in a correct fashion. We want it to be a quality broadcast. So there were several things we had to do behind the scenes to get it done. But regardless of where you are, you will be able to watch each and every SWAC game. That's a true remarkable feat, something that our fans wanted, something our student athletes wanted, something the institutions wanted, and it's here for the 24 football season.
Of course, Dr. McClellan, you received another extension from the athletic directors and presidents a few months ago. Talk about how important that is for you to continue being in this position and pushing your vision forward.
Well, just humbled that they thought enough of me to continue and to extend, and ultimately the vision starts with the membership. My job is to carry out what they want and to create these different opportunities. And the fact that they have shown enough, in me, or seen enough in me to say, Charles, we want you to continue to lead this conference, is just a humbling experience.
We'll be right back on Fox 54. And welcome back to our look at SWAC 2024. This season, more than a third of the head coaches in the SWAC will be leading programs for the first time. And I'll tell you this, I cannot believe it because that just shows you how much of turnover we had last season. Now, almost half the conference filled with guys leading the programs for the first time, and we'll start off down in a very familiar place of mine. Nick?
The Southern Jags, familiar faces leading that program at Mo Carter's alma mater of Southern University. Longtime SWAC assistant Terrence Graves officially became the head coach of the Jaguars following his victory as the interim in the 2023 Bayou Classic. The victory over Grambling gave Graves the distinct honor, of becoming the first head coach to win the Bayou Classic on both sidelines. Now he's poised to lead the Jaguars back to the SWAC Western Division to lift them to a title for the first time in a decade. Graves has a lot of SWAC hours as an assistant, and he's ready to apply what he's learned from many into his current role.
Been around a lot of great head coaches. I played for one, a legendary coach, Pete Richardson, and he started preparing me for a head coaching job when I was playing for him at Winston-Salem State. So then to have a relationship with the late great Coach Eddie G. Robinson, the late great Coach Clarence Big House Gaines, Coach Marino Cassim, those coaches, Coach Ben Job, those coaches have been preparing me for such a time as this. So it wasn't a really huge transition. And again, I have three former head football coaches on my staff. So to have Coach McNair, Coach Todd, and Coach Todd, it's awesome to have those coaches, and I get to lean on those guys and learn and grow and develop as a head coach.
Following Thanksgiving, Graves will lead the Jaguars in a battle against this guy, Mickey Joseph, and his Grambling State Tigers. Like Graves, Joseph is a longtime assistant who's made stops at places you may have heard: LSU, Louisiana Tech, and Nebraska, just to name a few. Like Graves, Joseph is using the knowledge from his predecessors to deliver a good product on the field this season in the northern port of Louisiana.
Well, in the coaching profession, everybody takes something from somebody. You never have your own plan. You look at the big-time college coaches, they had to get it from somewhere, and by me being under a number of head coaches, so you pick some from all of them. You get some from all, you get some from LC, you get some from Darrell Day, you get some from Ogeron, you get some from Scott Frost, you just pick things up from and you try to put it together to make it fit to where you're at, and that's what we did at Grambling.
Staying in the SWAC West Division, the Texas Southern Tigers went to a guy who made a name for himself playing pro ball in H-Town. Former Houston Oiler Chris Dishman was hired during the offseason to lead the Tigers. Now, Dishman will have the task of coaching a Tigers program that officially on paper has not had a winning season in more than 2 decades. During the early portion of preseason camp, we learned from Dishman that he and the staff are taking things day by day as they build towards a championship.
Everybody got the first day jitters. I even have the first day jitters. They want it. They're hungry. They're very hungry of getting out here today. They were very responsive of what we have tried to turn around and do. I told guys today that we're not going to try to win the SWAC today, but we're getting close to it.
For the first time in almost a decade, Alcorn State will have a new head football coach. Cedric Thomas taking over on the reservation following the departure of Fred McNair. Thomas is no stranger to the SWAC. He played and coached at Arkansas Pine Bluff and was the defensive coordinator for the Alcorn State Braves the past 2 seasons. Thomas wants his guys to play mistake-free football, and that's why he relies on stories of the past in his teachings.
Even in the Super Bowl, with the ultimate athletes, in our profession, there still was mistakes being made. And so it's going to be mistakes that's happening. But we just want to be able to curtail those and just have maximum effort to be able to overcome those.
When we last saw Florida A&M, Willie Simmons and the Rattlers were raising up the Celebration Bowl trophy and winning the HBCU national title. Now Simmons is off the Duke, and James Cozy III is poised with leading the green and orange. Cozy has been with the program for a few years now, and he knows Tallahassee quite well since he played across the city at Florida State. Cozy says that the Rattlers understand the task at hand since they are the reigning SWAC champs.
When you're the reigning HBCU national champs, you have to understand that no matter who you play, you're going to get their best. And so our motto with this year is, we got a few, our reload and repeat, obviously, but the biggest thing I need our guys to understand is that we can't have no surprises.
All right, coming up next, we know that the SWAC is full of great HBCU classics that are played throughout the year, but which ones will we like to see in person the most? We'll talk about that as we wrap things up on this Sports Extra special. Welcome back, everyone. The SWAC is full of great HBCU classics like the Magic City Classic that you see right behind us. It takes place during the last week of October in Birmingham.
And that game is full of pageantry, but also hatred between Alabama A&M and Alabama State.
Now, Nick and I have covered our fair share of classic, but there are still a few that we want to check out in the future. Nick, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, mine I know, Mo, you have plenty of association with. That is the Bayou Classic between Grambling State and Southern, excuse me. Southern has the just very small lead in that all-time series. It's in the Superdome in New Orleans. I got to get out there sometime, Mo.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll, get you away from covering the Iron Bowl to get you out there to the Bayou Classic at some point in time. Plus, I got to make sure you go to the Battle of the Bands. One classic that's been on my radar for a while, but I haven't been able to get out there is about 3 hours away in Memphis. The Southern Heritage Classic. Of course, FedEx, the big sponsor of the game over at the Liberty Bowl. Jackson State was a part of it for a long time, but now it's Arkansas Pine Bluff going up against Tennessee State, which is led by former Tennessee Titan Eddie George. The game traditionally is played second week of the season over in Memphis. Crowds can go from 35,000 up to 50,000 to pack that stadium and watch the game.
Awesome.
Absolutely. A lot of great games to watch this upcoming season. We hope you learned something right here on our Sports Extra Special. For the entire crew, have yourself a great night, and we'll see you next time.
This special edition of Sports Extra has been sponsored by Hardee's.